Good evening, friends, students. Am I audible to all? Audible, visible? Please confirm me once. Am I audible? Am I visible or not? Okay. There is a buffering, right, in the video. Okay. Buffering is going on, so it will get stabilized in few minutes. Okay, in few minutes it will get stabilized, so don't worry. Okay, now so we will starting our polity lecture. This is basically polity module that we are specifically focused on prelims examination. So we'll be dealing with respect to prelims examination. That is our motive. So the format of the lecture will be, I will be doing most of the explanatory part. Okay, that is, I will, what I'll do, I will just explain you the part of the polity, the entire polity from the beginning, from the basic till everything in that. Okay, and what you people need to do is, you people need to make your own notes regarding to that, or if you have already studied the polity subject, so what we'll try to, you try to read that subject or read that topic, then you add on the things that I'm discussing in here. Apart from this, we will be completing this lecture around 35 to 40 hours at the maximum, and then we'll proceed to the we'll finish the entire section. And in this also, I will be more emphasizing on the area that are important with respect to the prelims examination as such. Okay, that is an important part. I'll make you understand how the questions comes, what are the weightage for this subject as such, and how we should be doing this, or we should be giving and taking an approach on the polity. So you should be having a very good score in the polity subject. Now, before we begin today's lecture, I'll give you a brief idea about me. My name is Irshad Khan. I'm a teacher of Indian polity, governance, and political science option subject. Okay, I welcome you all to IS Specialist Academy, and we here focus on mentoring and self-study. That is our motive. If you're serious enough, do continue with us, or if you're not serious enough, we are really sorry for your inconvenience. Okay. Now what we'll be focusing on this examination. First, what I'll do, in the basic 2-3 lectures, I'll discuss the basic of the polity. We will be covering the two part in the polity section. Okay, please remember this. Please remember this. We will be covering or how we are going to proceed in this particular area is is the screen visible to all? Just let me know. Is it visible? Okay. Now, we need to understand. I see some of my old student and some of my many new students will be seeing the recording. So I would like to go with the polity subject for the prelims, and with respect to how to approach the prelims. For that, we need to understand. We need to understand what is actually the demand of the exam. Okay, how the demand of the exam has been changed over time, specifically in the prelims examination. So we have to focus on that area. Okay, my first priority is that I should make you understand the demand of the exam, the demand of this subject, the expectation of this subject from your how much the UPSC is expecting you to understand the polity with respect to the prelims examination. Okay, so screen is not visible, so I think anybody else's screen is not visible. Anybody else is there? It is visible, right? It is visible. Ash Panda, what you do, you reconnect yourself again. Ansh Panda, you reconnect yourself once again. Okay, बाहर जाके वापस से reconnect करो अपने आप को, you will get connected. Okay, now let's see the demand of the exam. Polity, it comes under one of the core subject in UPSC. So polity is a part of what? Part of a core subject. So how many core subjects we are having? One is polity that we are dealing with. Another is economy, the traditional, the conceptual part of the economy. So remember this. Then another is geography. Both the India and you can say the geography as a subject. Okay, India as a geography more of a factual than of any other subject. Okay, so I'm not writing this. Another one is the history. Okay, now these four subjects will approximately carry, you can say, 55 to 60 question in the exam. Okay, approximately 55 to 60 question will come from this major area, or at least they will touch the 50 question. In this, there is a variations in the examination. Okay, there will be a variations in the examination. So my subject of dealing is polity. I'll deal with polity. In polity, you will always get the highest question that came ever in the polity subject was 2020. That was 22 question that has came in 1 year in polity, and the least question that has came in the polity is 6 question. So this is approximately 44 marks, and this is approximately 12 marks. Okay, so any day you will get more than 10 marks question that will be from the polity. Okay, and every year you will have 5. Since this year, the last 2022, we got a less question on polity. Okay, that happens, but polity will remain a top subject where the question will come from this area. So for that reason, the polity, studying polity becomes very important for us, and it also get into the core subject, the core part of the prelims examination. Core subject, okay, of prelims examination. So we're dealing with this. Now, how to approach polity? How to approach polity? This is one question. How to approach polity? This is one. And what UPSC demands precisely for prelims examination, with respect to prelims examination. Okay, remember this. Fine. This is another thing that we have to understand in the polity subject. Okay, now this is both the question that will come to you. Okay, and the another question that I'd like to discuss with you people is how candidate are preparing. Candidate prepares polity subject. This is my another question. So there are 3 questions we have to deal with. How to approach the subject, the polity. Second is what UPSC demands from the polity subject in the prelims examination. And the third is how the candidate approach the polity subject. Now, in UPSC, I'll go with the second question first. What is the expectation of the polity, or the UPSC expectation in the polity subject? So till 2017, till 2017 or 16, we can say, till 2016, the question was mainly asked on constitution. Okay, the question was asked on constitution, and what we were doing, we were reading one specific book. Okay, and we are considering that our preparation was done with the book. Now that was actually true till the time if you see the question of 2016, by the time you can see that this was the right strategy to conduct. Okay, this was the right strategy to conduct, and there was no harm in conducting this strategy. Okay, there was no harm in that. But the problem was not this. The problem started when the UPSC changed its approach in asking a question in 2017. Okay, 2017, when the UPSC changed its approach to ask the question. Okay, in 2016, what happened? The UPSC started asking in the constitution. When we read constitution or the question comes, it's a factual question. It's a part of a factual question. But what happened in 2017 or after, you can say beginning from 2017 till 2022. In 2022, there was less question as such. But that does not mean that the UPSC has shed its approach to ask the question. Okay. The UPSC started asking the two-way question. One is question related to concepts, and another way, the question related to the facts. Okay. Now we know when the question asks on the facts, it is mostly the question which will be from the constitution section. Now, what kind of a question you can have in a constitution section? With respect to the Indian Parliament, with respect to fundamental rights, with respect to preamble, with respect to fundamental duties, with respect to DPSP, with respect to the bills, the amendments, with respect to the president or minister, prime minister, council of minister. You can have this kind of a question, which you can have a direct relation with the constitution. The another is a conceptual based question. Now they have what they have done in this is they have divided this into 50-50. In 50-50. Okay. In the conceptual question, they are asking not constitution, but polity as a subject. Polity as a subject. They are asking this, polity as a subject. Now this is very important for you people, because now the weightage has been to some extent, it is equally divided among the two. The polity, the conceptual part, the fact, the constitution part. And this trend is continued. In 2022, in certain area, this has been changed. But 2022, there is less questions, so variation was not that much in that case. But I expect in 2023, there will be a large number of questions from the polity section. And I think and I believe, inshallah, if polity will dominate the paper, the prelims examination this year. Okay, that is what I expect in this year examination. Okay, polity. Because that is an assumption. I cannot say it is completely true, because we just assume for UPSC. We do not have any hard and fast rule as such in this case. Okay, now, so what we have to do is we have to, in my polity lecture, I will be focusing on the conceptual part also and the polity and the factual part also in the polity. That is, we are dealing with the constitution also, and we will be also dealing with the polity also. The conceptual clarity of the polity that is required for you people to understand. Okay. And for this reason, now this is the demand of the UPSC, that you should also know the constitution of the country. Along with that, you should also know the subject, the conceptual part of the subject also, that is polity. Now, polity, constitution is it's a small part within the polity itself. Within the polity itself, constitution is a small part. Okay. Do remember this. Now, how does UPSC's candidate or many candidates prepare for the polity? Generally, what the candidate do is, there's one famous book, Lakshmikant. They used to buy, first time they start reading, they go and buy the book and start reading. But the title of the book is wrong. Title of the book is wrong. The title of the book is Indian Polity. It needs to be what? It needs to be not Indian Polity, but it needs to be Constitution. If you see the book, you can find more or less the same content or the index which is similar to D.D. Basu. Why D.D. Basu has not written the title Indian Polity, but they have written the title Introduction to Indian Constitution? Why Subhas Kashyap has not done the same thing? Because we all know that it is not a book on polity, but it is a book on constitution. So do remember this part. Generally, people after 2017, what happens that the candidate used to focus on this particular book and they go before 2017 and they go and appear the paper. But after 2017, from 2017 onwards, they are facing a problem in this, that they are unable to understand the demand of the question or demand of the exam, because the exam or the UPSC has changed its orientation of asking the question. Now they have started asking the conceptual question, and there is no conceptual clarity in the book. Okay, there is no conceptual clarity in the book. That is one major hurdle that we have. Okay, now this is what the major problem the candidate is facing, and this is the major strategy of the candidate also. Now, with this approach, how far you can score good marks in the prelims? Now, if 10 question has been asked in the prelims examination with respect to polity, a person who is having a good knowledge or who's always clear the prelims examination, he will at least make 8 questions correct. There will be a doubt in 2 questions. Now, why is such? Why there is such doubt as? Because you cannot afford to make mistake in the polity question, because polity becomes the first book that every candidate who appears for the examination begins with, that book, the polity. And if you lose in that area, it will be a big problem for you people. So what you should do, you should have a good grip on the polity subject. Because an average and the below average student who has first appeared for the examination, they also work with polity very carefully. They read polity very seriously. Even they do not try to make mistake in the polity. You should be also not doing the same. So you should be taking polity very seriously. And even polity is an area, considering it is a conception, considering it is what? The core subject. It is easy also and it is scoring also. Both the things. It is easy as well as it is scoring. Both the thing is happening in the polity. Okay, got my point? So do remember this point. Now, how we should approach polity and what else should be our approach with reference to our reading. Second, with reference to our book selection. Okay. So in reading we have 2 parts. Okay, in reading we have 2 parts. One, we have to clear our concept, and along with that we also need what? We also need to accumulate the fact also. Accumulate facts also. Okay, that is both the thing is important. Accumulate fact. The moment I say fact, so I say fact, it might be both. It might be the fact of the constitutions of India, and it also the fact of simple polity that we should remember. Okay. Now, for both the thing, we have a two different book selection. For the fact, you can read Lakshmikant. That is all right. Either you can read Didi Basu, or you can read Subhash Kashyap. Or you can read your any coaching printed notes, good coaching printed notes. But what I'll recommend, whenever you're reading the constitution, the factual part, also whenever you're reading any article, read the original article. Read original article. So you can use any app for that, or you can use the book. If you're not fond of reading online, you can use the book, or use the book that is Bare Act. This both will help you a lot, because in many times I've seen that the UPSC has directly pick up the question, pick up the statement from the article, and they have given it as a statement in the question that they had done. So you should be focusing on that area, and that is important. Okay. So this both the thing is very important with respect to the factual argument. Now, coming to the conceptual clarity. Our resource book will change because it's a polity. Now we are focusing on the concept. So what will happen in this case is, you will have to develop a very foundation of the polity, a very foundation of understanding the polity as a subject. So one of the biggest resource for understanding the polity as a subject will be your biggest resource or biggest book list, book selection will be your NCERT. NCERT. If you don't want to read class 6, 7, new NCERT. If you don't want to read class 6, 7, and 8, don't read it. It's okay. Read class 9th, class 10, class 11, class 12. In 11, we have two very important books, Constitution at Work. Constitution at Work. So you can attach this book with the factual part when you're reading the Constitution. And second book is Political Theory. This is the most important book for the conceptual clarity. You have 10 chapters in here. All the 10 chapters are important. You cannot neglect any chapter. So do remember this part. Okay? Do remember. So in my lecture, what I'll do, I'll bring up the conceptual, I'll begin with the conceptual clarity, and then I move towards move towards the Constitution along with that only. Okay? Or in between, I'll bring some conceptual clarity, and then we'll move towards the different section. Okay. Got my point, all of you? Now, let's begin with some basic concepts. I'll take 2 class or 3 class, just developing the basic concepts of polity. Basic concept of polity. Okay. Very basic. So basic concept of polity that we have to look into. Okay, am I visible? Okay. सबसे पहला कॉन्सेप्ट हम लेते हैं पॉलिटी में, और जो कि बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट है. जनरली ये कॉन्सेप्ट दूसरी जगह पढ़ाते हैं, लेकिन मैं चाहता हूं कि ये कॉन्सेप्ट आप यहाँ पे क्लियर करें, so that it is easy for all of you to understand the further polity as such. Okay. Now, सबसे पहला कॉन्सेप्ट है रूल ऑफ law. Okay, this is the first concept that we have. Now, the idea of rule of law is do we have any, what do you understand by the meaning of rule of law? What do you understand? बोलिए.
All are equal before law.
All are equal before the law, or
and law is equal to everyone.
Law is equal to everyone. Law is equal to everyone and all is equal to law. Okay. Anything else?
So, that the conduct of the state and the citizens should be according to the law.
Conduct of the state and the citizens should be according to the law. Okay, that is acceptable. Anything else? Bolo? There is very famous thing that is attached to this.
It states the accountability of the government.
Accountability of the government. Okay. Okay, got it. Lex is Rex. And second is Rex is Lex. And or else Rex is Lex. ये दो चीज है. ठीक है, ये दो चीजें हमारे पास में. Either it is, you understand this point. Okay. You understand this point, this is very important. Rule of law समझ में आएगा कि rule of law का मतलब क्या है. Very basic, very basic. Lex is Rex and Rex is Lex. Okay. What do you mean by Lex is Rex? It simply means rule by law. Okay. Is it correct? Is it correct? Simply, I have just make it more simple. And Rex is Lex means rule by man. Okay. मैं इसे और सिंपल कर देता हूं. In here, law. Sorry. In here, the sharing stopped, right? Okay. In here, I'll make it more simpler. थोड़ा और सिंपल बनाते हैं इसे. ठीक है. How can I reduce the size of the text? That I cannot do actually. Is it visible to you all? Please do not write anything in this. Okay, by your own. इसमें जो पहला वाला है, Lex is Rex, it simply means law is king, and simply another means king is law. इसका मतलब होता है लॉ इज किंग, इसका मतलब है किंग इज लॉ। सेकंड वाले का क्या मतलब है? किंग इज लॉ, किंग इज द लॉ। नाउ
Hello.
कैन यू गिव एनी
Excuse me, sir.
एग्जांपल इन द वर्ल्ड?
Hello.
हाँ रोहित।
सर कुछ भी विजिबल नहीं है सर।
हाँ
विजिबल नहीं है सर, कुछ
आवाज नहीं आ
विजिबल
रही,
नहीं है
कोई भी विजिबल
सर,
नहीं है।
विजिबल नहीं है सर। नो सर।
अच्छा, तो आप ऐसा करिए कि एक बार आप रीज्वाइन कर लीजिए, ठीक है? बाकी लोगों को विजिबल है? इज इट विजिबल टू ऑल? अदर्स आल्सो हैविंग अ प्रॉब्लम इन विजिबिलिटी?
It's visible, sir.
It's visible. Rohit, please you join once again. There might be a little problem. तो ये विजिबल हो जाएगा आपको। ओके तो रूल ऑफ लॉ, ठीक है, सिंपली रूल ऑफ लॉ। हमें बड़े बड़े टर्म्स मालूम है, अकाउंटेबिलिटी, इट्स एन अकाउंटेबिलिटी, इक्वालिटी बिफोर द लॉ है, ठीक है, इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लॉ है। ओके, ये हमें बहुत सारी चीजें हमें पता है। कंसेप्ट क्या है इसके पीछे का? इसके पीछे का ये एक बेसिकली आप कह सकते हैं, this concept that is ruled by law, or the law is the king. Now this concept, when you see the concept in the modern context. आज ये बड़ा आसान सा दिखता है ना कि law has to be implemented the moment any states, you can say state representative, or you can say the police officer or anybody, or any person as such comes to you and you say that, and he says that something to you, he try to stop you, okay, or any other thing unnecessary, he is creating an obstacle in your life. What do you refer to that? Please follow the law. Okay? That is our general intention behind when we say something to somebody. Okay, where is what? Just follow the law. The law does not say this. The law says something else. So what are you trying to address by this? What are you trying to do? In your intention, in your mind, you at that position is you are insecure, and you are referring to somebody who is supreme. That is an idea that all we have. That whenever we feel or whenever we are in trouble, we try to associate that thing to whom? To somebody who is supreme. Then us, then both of us who are in the conflict. You and me might be in the conflict. So we will refer somebody that, okay, you will also be fearful of that thing, and I will also be fearful of that thing, and he can be, or she can be, or it can be an arbitrary in our conflict. So our intention of being inferior to somebody or something, we try to make that something or somebody superior at that point. Then only we refer something to that. हम कुछ refer करते हैं. So in the earlier times, what used to happen is we try to refer somebody who is supreme. And in any nation or any kingdom, the king is the supreme, right? King is supreme. So we try to connotate that, okay, the king will do the justice. Okay, here the rule of law is associated to what? Is associated to the establishment of justice. किससे associated है? Justice से establish, justice से associated है. It is established, it is not just a law making. It is an expression of establishing a justice. Establishing what? Establishing a justice. That is what we are trying to do. That the expression of rule of law is nothing but, the expression of rule of law is nothing but what? It is an expression to establish the justice. Okay, to establish justice. This is what we have the expression. To establish justice. So to establish justice, we need to have somebody who is supreme. We might be in the conflict. We need somebody who is supreme. And that somebody needs to be what? We have this inclination that this somebody will always be who? The king, the queen, the personification of justice, the expression of justice, the establishment of justice. This is what we do in the literal meaning of, or in the meaning of rule of law. Okay? Got my point? Because we have an intention. The king cannot do anything wrong. This was our intention. This was our belief. ये हमारा belief था. ये हमारा intention था. Okay. So in polity, sometimes in the prelims paper, if the question comes, the rule of law is an expression of what? It is an expression of establishment of justice. Now, how justice will establish, that is a different discussion altogether. वो बहुत अलग discussion है. But the prime motive of rule of law is to establish justice, a system which will be beneficial to all. Now, if the person, king, is fair, if king is unbiased, if the ruler is unbiased, do we have a problem? We do not have a problem. Okay? We do not have a problem. But what will happen when we see the biasness in the ruler? Biasness in the ruler. Or we can say the ruler itself is a human, and human have both the personality of the God and the personality of the evils. Both. So we cannot completely rely on that. We cannot completely rely on that. That is the reason the Plato, the beginning of rule of law, begins with the Plato in the ancient period. But the Plato diminished the position of rule of law in this, diminished the position of the person, a position of the law, that law is supreme if somebody else is supreme. The Plato diminished that position. Just one level below the king, not the ordinary king, the philosopher king. Okay, ये सब आपके लिए जानना जरूरी नहीं. I'm just, making a coherence that you can understand. I'm just making a coherence so you understand the meaning of rule of law. But he made or bent it below the king, the philosopher king. So do we see the expression of law as a supreme in that position in the work or in the saying of the Plato? Answer is no. Because Plato considered that the philosopher king, the king who is the philosopher, he cannot do anything wrong. That is one thing. Now, this position of law, or this subordinated position of law, the supremacy of the law, has been clarified by his disciple Aristotle. Aristotle can be considered as the first person who was talking about the rule of law. Aristotle. He diminished the position of the ruler and made law as a supreme in this context. So what is rule of law? What do you mean by this? The supremacy of law. क्या है rule of law? Rule of law का simple meaning क्या है? Supremacy. Supremacy of whom? Supremacy of law. Now, how law is created, it's altogether a different question. Whether it is created by the majority, minority, parliamentary system, presidential system, local government, executive, or anyway, altogether, the discussion on the supremacy of discussion on the formulation of the law, the way the law is being made, is actually taken away from that discussion. It's a different, altogether a very different discussion. Jise emphasize on the rule of law, or the main importance of the rule of law is to establish a justice in the society. ठीक उसी तरीके से how the law is going to be made is a very different thing. It's altogether a very different debate in the polity. Are we going to have a natural law? Are we going to have a positive law? Are we going to follow the law of the religion, or are we going to follow the law of the human? How much law is to be formulated? What is the limitation of the law? How far law can proceed? How less law can be there? You're getting my point, all of you. Okay? So Aristotle becomes the person who established that it is a supremacy of the law. There has to be a law who is supreme. That means the rule of law has to be there, not the rule of person. So the moment the rule of law or the supremacy of the law is being emphasized on, अगर rule of law पे हमने emphasize किया, ठीक है, और कंट्री में लॉ को सुप्रीम बनाया, और लॉ कैसे बन रहा है, कौन सा लॉ बन रहा है, वो नहीं पता. जैसे कि थियोक्रेसी. What is theocracy? Theocracy is again rule of law. Theocracy is again rule of law. But there is a difference. Dictatorship is also there. In dictatorship, there is no rule of law. In dictatorship, there is a rule of person, not the law. The law is not supreme, but the person who is dictating is supreme. But in theocracy, there is a law and the law is supreme, but the problem is that is not democratic law. The law which is framed within the framework of the religious scriptures, but the rule of law is prevailing over there. There is no individual who is supreme or no individual is inferior. That is not the concept. Class is somewhat slow. In what sense? Sweetie, in the buffering or in any other aspect? Class is slow in my explanation or something else? Okay, you write it, give me the answer. In explanation, no issue, no problem. You watch the recorded video and you speed up the thing. आप अपनी स्पीड्स को बढ़ा लेना रिकॉर्डेड वीडियो में, ठीक है. यू मेक इट 1.5 to 2, ठीक है, तो आपको थोड़ी फास्ट दिखेगी. ओके, नो इश्यू. लेकिन कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी ऐसे ही मिलेगी आपको, ठीक है. Okay. Don't watch if you are not comfortable, you see it is slow, you better watch the recorded video. We don't have any problem. Okay. वहां स्पीड बढ़ा लोगे आपको मिल जाएगी, ठीक है, no issue. Okay. So the rule of law means the rule of the law. The law is a what? It can be an institution. Okay. It's not a. The law is king in here. Lex is Rex. Rex is not the Lex over here. But Aristotle has said this part way back in ancient India, sorry, ancient Greece time or in the ancient period. But we have not followed that. We have overcome with that problem, overcome with that idea, and we again establish the rule by man. Then medieval period was dominated by that. Again, during Renaissance, the idea of rule of law again pops out. Okay. Now, in the medieval time also, there was an expression of law. There was the law. But the law was driven by the religious scriptures. And it was dominated by the church. It was also dominated by the king also, both. Okay. But the Renaissance was a period which has allowed the man to re-inquire into the fallouts of the functioning of the polity in the world, or the political systems of the world. They have found that the position of the king or the supremacy of the king is not the right way to address the thing. It's not the right way. Although before Renaissance, there was a beginning of the establishment of the rule of law in England. When the king of the England transferred its power, certain powers, to British Parliament, it complete transfer of power comes in 17th century after Renaissance. Generally, we call it as a glorious revolution. Glorious revolution. There was a peaceful transfer of power from the king to the parliament. Now, the king is not making the law on its own, on the advice of the few people, but the king is making a law, or England was making a law with the parliament. The parliament is making the law. Parliament law bana raha hai. Okay. Now, who's the parliamentarian? They are the representatives of the people. So one idea we got, that to make a law, we need to have what? What kind of a law we need? We need a law which is having an agreement of the maximum number of people. And that can be achieved through the parliamentary system. A system which can function, which has the people's say in it. This is what we have seen. Now, this idea was put forwarded. The rule of law idea was put forwarded in the American Constitution in 18th century, last quarter of 18th century, where the idea of rule of law was established. But the problem was in both this Britain and USA, the problem was in Britain, there was a continuity of the civilization. There was a continuity of the civilization. One civilization was being continued for more than 2,000 years or another 500 years down the line. But America was the newly colonized region. Now, this country wants to make a law. The basis of the law will be what? What will be the basis of the law? How we are going to make the law? The law is supreme, but what will be the basis of the law? And this nation and this US is not the place of one nation, not the place of people living from one ethnicity, multiple ethnicity with multiple culture coming together. So there was difficulty in establishing that for which people what is good and what is bad. So they devised the idea. Why do not we have a written constitution where we provide a place for everyone? So we got the written constitution's idea in the world. and entire rule of law, the source of the law source of law in US become the Constitution. And for that reason, from there we have the beginning of modern source of law, and law is supreme, that is, rule of law is supreme in that. And there is a supremacy of the law, not the supremacy of the person or not the supremacy of the individual, not the supremacy of any family, but the law is supreme, the rule of law, and this law is made by the people. So eventually the people is supreme in this context. In this context, the people is supreme. क्या हुआ, इसे हमने people को इस तरीके से supreme बनाया. You got my idea? The rule of law concept. You will read that in your article 14. But the basis is this. Today we have a rule of law, and we have a rule by man or king is the law. In North Korea, we have a king is law. Then we have the most democratic places in the world where it is a rule of law. And the actual expression of the supremacy of the law, where do we see? We see in the judicial system, where everybody is standing just like an ordinary person in front of the law. And even judge cannot pronounce any judgment on his will and fancies. He cannot do that. He has to pronounce the judgment within the provisions of the law. So he cannot, for the murder, he cannot provide 5-year imprisonment, and for somebody who has done a pickpocketing, the rule of law. And we'll pick up the class from here tomorrow. So thank you. Not tomorrow, as per the schedule I have provided you, we will be discussing our. We'll meet you soon. Thank you, all of you. We'll meet you with the next lecture, in the next lecture. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.